The viewers, my kind of people, how you been? I've missed you. And in case you're new here, hello, my name's Clayton and welcome to Comic Therapy. Here, we talk about comic book issues. There's a joke there if you look hard enough. Hopefully, you caught my last episode where I talk about one of my all-time favorite heroes, Moon Knight, and his all-new, all-different series. If not, then go check it out after this. As for today, we're going to be talking about an incredibly powerful comic book character. See if you can guess who. They're an orphan. They got their powers from a mysterious chemical, and they can turn into a car? A car, you say? Yes, a car, says I. Let's talk about Plastic Man. Plastic Man's first appearance was in Police Comics #1 during the Golden Age. He was originally made by Quality Comics, but later purchased by DC when the company went under. Plastic Man hasn't seen as much solo page action as some of the other members of the Justice League, but the stories he is a part of instantly become 100% better, 50% more plastic, and I guess 2% more man. You know, there aren't really as many female heroes as you think. Like many comic book characters, there are retellings and various origin stories for Plastic Man, but I'll be going over the Jack Cole Quality Comics version because for the most part, the first half has been followed by more recent series. Plastic Man, real name Patrick E. O'Brien, became an orphan at the age of 10 and grew up on the streets, leading to a life of crime. As an adult, he joined a gang, and during a robbery, O'Brien was shot and covered in an unknown chemical. The rest of his gang left him for dead, but Patrick managed to run out into a nearby mountain and found a safe place to pass out. While unconscious, a monk carried O'Brien to his house in the mountains, and there he helped him recover and even turned away cops looking for O'Brien because he sensed good inside him. O'Brien awoke to discover that chemicals had entered his bloodstream through the bullet wound and gave him rubber-like powers. Plastic Man was thankful for what the monk had done and promised to use his powers to help the law, and he became a hero. Other DC versions follow a similar story, but some make Batman the one that injured O'Brien the night of the robbery and later convinced the court to let him go and allow him to fight for justice. Man, good guy Batman always looking out for you. If I ever get covered in a bunch of mysterious chemicals, I hope it's by good old B. Wayne. Earlier, I slyly said that Plastic Man is incredibly powerful, and with a name like that, you may be asking me why. Yes, in many ways he's just like Mr. Fantastic, Miss Marvel, and Elastigirl from The Incredibles, but in other ways he is so much more. Plastic Man's body is in an almost liquid-like state, but he has full control over every movement. Many times in both comics and several cartoon shows, we see Plastic Man change into a fully functional car and other things like planes, houses, or weapons. Even at one time he became a part of Batman's utility belt. Other powers include his ability to change his density, size alteration, meaning he can shrink down or become the size of a building. Take that, Ant-Man. Invulnerability, regeneration, super strength, and telepathic immunity. Plastic Man is able to get shot and just push the bullet back. He can regenerate when given enough time, and he can move his brain and other organs throughout his body like a liquid. In one comic, a villain tries to rip his heart out but is unable to locate it because it doesn't exist in one solid location. In another comic, we see Plastic Man after he spreads his molecules across the ocean floor and lived like that for over 3,000 years. Plastic Man is one of the few some put on a power level similar to Superman. In fact, if it wasn't for Superman's frost breath and Plastic Man's weakness to extremely cold temperatures, Plastic Man could easily beat Superman 5 times out of 7. I've made those numbers up, but you get the point I'm trying to make. In an Injustice series, we even see Plastic Man walk up to the big man himself and threaten to release his son, or else things will get serious. Later in this series, we see Plastic Man take down the Flash with just one hand and sneak his way into a prison kept miles under the ocean, where all the baddest of the bads are kept. Plastic Man, using his wits, humor, and strength, end up breaking everyone out and taking down the entire prison. In this series, Superman's the bad guy, so Plastic Man doing all of this is actually good, kinda. Okay, so some of the people he breaks out are villains, but not everyone's perfect. When it comes to the cheesiness of Plastic Man, it doesn't take a lot of reading to find the bulk of the cheddar, and I'm not talking money. For one, his name is Plastic Man, enough said. 2, his origin story is nothing outlandish in the world of comic books. And finally, the way his character acts. But DC is not only aware of this, they embrace it, and I love every bit of it. Plastic Man is one of the main sources of comic relief. No matter the conversation, he is just one head-stretched panel away from a quick joke. In many stories, we see that he uses this to hide his deep-down fears. Even when he's about to die, we see him make a quick joke about the entire situation. My favorite thing about Plastic Man, aside from his overall humor, is the way he's drawn. Plastic Man is very aware of his powers and is almost always using them. Even his superhero disguise is just a pair of glasses, but he also makes sure to shapeshift his face so he's unrecognizable to anyone as Patrick E. O'Brien. Almost every panel with Plastic Man has him snaking about or creating weird shapes with his head and body. All of this just adds to his humor style and it's beat into the ground. Many readers even hate Plastic Man because of how one-dimensional he seems, but I love him because he never lets off. The artists know to draw him in your face and always is a bit of a pain, and personally, I relate to that. Before I wrap up this episode, let me stretch it out a bit with a Guess That Mask. Last week, I gave you this close-up image of Bagman, a version of Spider-Man where he joins the Fantastic Four and dons a paper bag since the Fantastics don't wear masks, but Peter wanted to keep his identity safe. here's your new mask. If you know who it is, or you just want to take a guess, be sure to leave a comment or tweet me with your answer. That's all I have for comic therapy. If you have any comic book characters or issues you'd like to see me cover, be sure to tweet me at ZTVGoofingOff with the hashtag comic therapy. My name's Clayton Schrock, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Until then, viewers,